Hello and welcome to Mondays with Bob and Phineas. I'm Bob, and of course, this is Phineas TL sitting with me.
Hello, Bob. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good today, Phineas. It's not a bad day. We've got beautiful sunshine. It's in the 70s here,
Yeah,
not a cloud in the sky. So, hey, we're happy.
yeah. We're just hovering around freezing here, but it's a beautiful sunny day. So it's
Very
quite nice.
nice.
It's quite crisp. So
Very nice. Now, with all that said, Phineas, the Lone Star Santas down here in the great state of Texas had their what they call the Lone Star Roundup this weekend. That's where all Santas, Mrs. Clauses, elves, and performers come together and have a weekend together with learning, fellowship, food, that sort of thing, kind of like a mini convention. And they were down in Bryan College Station, which is in Central Texas, between Austin, Houston, and Dallas, kind of centrally located in the hill country there. And they had a big storm brew up at 3 a.m. The other night, Friday night, Saturday morning, and golf ball size to softball to golf ball size hail. That's big to bigger.
definitely, and yeah, it looks like some people had some damage to their cars, roofs and windshields and stuff. So
Everyone that was there had damage of some sort or another. Some worse than others. I think it was particularly which way they was positioned and the way that the hail was coming in. But a lot of folks lost all their windows. A lot of folks just lost the front or back windows. And the vehicle looks like somebody took a ball peen hammer to it and just beat the living uh, daylight out of it. They're just beat up so bad. I feel so bad for everyone, and kind of put a damper on their event, but it still went off nice. Everybody enjoyed themselves, and it looked like a great event. I didn't go again this year. Too many other things going on now to be able to do that. But anyway, I thought I would mention that you never know when a storm is going to brew, and you can never tell
oh, you
because
can.
that's one thing that you really can't forecast. I mean, you can get a grip on it and say, hey, there's a chance for hail, but you never know the size that it's going to be by the time it falls to earth. So very sad, very sad. Anyway, we're just glad that the weather's cleared up here, nice and sunny and pleasant outside. So we happy. We real happy.
Yep. It is definitely sunny here, and no golf ball size hail, thankfully here. So, whew, you know.
Have y'all ever had severe hail in your region?
Yeah, we often get key size to golf ball,
Uh-huh.
not the softball size stuff. Thankfully, not in recent history. So that's good to know. But we actually had a tornado watch this past week. So
Oh goodness. Yeah, it's a volatile time of year, March, April, all the way for us down here in the south through June and July, even we can have storms brew up. That made me think about something when we mentioned softball size hail. Good friend of the show's Felix Estridge. Many of you may know Felix. He lives here in the North Texas area, and I can remember, I don't know, it's been 6, 7 years ago maybe that we had one of those storms brew up, and they were sitting at their kitchen table, and a softball size piece of hail came clean through their roof and landed on the table while they were eating. And he took on, I think, two or three of those holes in his roof and had to have his roof replaced. And so uh, what brings that to mind is Scott Seriton asked me about, well, what happens if you get caught out in a storm like that? Well, again, you're going to take on some severe damage if one of those hits you in the head.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's been in pea-sized hail before, and even that hurts.
yep.
So, so if there's inclement weather headed your way, and they say there's a possibility of large nickel to dime size hail, run and find cover as quick as you can because
Get inside, get undercover, and be safe. Definitely. We don't want
there's
anybody
been
getting
times
injured.
when we've actually drove up to the car wash just right up the end of the street from us and pulled in the bays and protected our vehicle up there to keep it from getting hit.
Yep.
One other time we had a chance for some of that large stuff coming, and Angela went up to our home improvement store and bought a bunch of boxes, and we covered our cars with boxes, flat boxes that were knocked down for flat sizing. It's a lot of work, but it's better than getting your vehicle beat up, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, better than broken windows and dents. So
Yes, sir.
yes,
Absolutely. Okay, you ready to move along to something burger and see what the hot topic has to bring us today?
I do believe we are. Yes, we got a good question today. So from
Yeah, we actually got a couple of them. One of them was posed and brought to us by one of our regular viewers, and we'll talk more about that on the other side of this. We'll be right back. So this first question was brought to us by Santa Scott Parker, and he was interested in knowing what other folks have done in this situation, or if they have any advice that he might be able to use. He's having this problem himself. So, Phineas, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you go with that.
okay, so the question that Santa Scott Parker asked was, what is your best advice on how to deal with ventures or others using your Santa image without consent to promote an event that you are not hired or contracted to be at?
Yeah.
So you find out on social media or you see an advertisement, there's an event that you know you weren't hired for and they're using your photo. What do you do? What do you do? So that is Scott's question.
Yes, and it happens more often than we think. I see this topic brought up on some of the social media sites several times a year, where folks are saying, "Hey, they're using my photo," and it might have been that they had hired you, contracted you the year before or the year before that. And and so there's kind of a fine line here that you've got to watch. Number one, you got to read your contract, fine print.
Yep. Read the
Number
comment.
two, you've got to be able to understand that photographers own the rights to photos if they take them. And so, and then there's a third element to that. You can actually sell your photos to stock companies that you give them the right to use those, and then other people outside of that realm picks them up off Facebook or YouTube or social media anywhere and decides they're going to use them.
Yep.
So there are several different ways to look at this. We kind of was wondering what you guys think out there. Has anyone got any suggestions for Parker and how he can deal with this? I mean, I know what the standard process is, which most folks probably try to go that route first, but he was interested if there was some other ways of dealing with this.
So my first comment about this is if you are working at an event where you know there's going to be a photographer, make sure you read the contract first, because very often when you sign the contract, there may be a photo release written into that contract. So make sure there is no photo release, or that you have talked about the terms of the photo release specifically. If you are working, as Bob said, if you're working with a photographer, it's just a reminder that they own those photographs. And then when you purchase the photos from them, that is essentially a license for you to use their work. They own the image itself. But there may be specific things that that you can agree to or not agree to when you negotiate that with the photographer. But at events, you will often find, like at events, like if you're attending like a Comic-Con or a large scale conference, that when you join up with that event, there actually is a photo release that you sign when you register for that event. And if you've signed that photo release, there's very little you can do, unfortunately. But my first piece of advice is to ask them nicely, hey, I see you've used my photo in the advertisement. You are not using my services, and it could be confusing to my audience, thinking that I'll be there, and when they find out that I'm not there. So ask nicely, but if it becomes You can send a cease and desist letter, but that gets ugly and uncomfortable for people. So,
I think that's the standard caveat is to send the letter.
yep.
If they don't take heed to the letter that you may send, and you can always have it drafted by a legal assistant or a attorney if you can find one.
Yep.
That has that adds that second layer of I might have messed up.
Yep.
So
I will say if you send a cease and desist letter, if you're that strong about it, make sure you do get a paralegal or a lawyer to take a look at it. Don't try to just draft one from Chat GPT, because most people can recognize when there's been a general cease and desist letter written out. So
all right, looks like we got some good folks joining us today. Matter of fact, Parker is on.
yeah,
He's
Scott.
driving.
Yep.
Paul Anderson is on with us. He's up there near you.
Yep. AJ has joined us, and we have Sue Radloff as well.
With us. Ted Flynn.
Sue Radloff, Diane, or Deborah Shepherd,
Deborah Kaiser's on. Melissa Land is on. Hi, Mel. David Melmine is on, of course.
Yeah. We've got Bill Coates and Kevin Scarf watching in on YouTube. So welcome, Bill and Kevin. So good to see you here.
Very good. All right. So if anybody has any other comments to add, feedback, I hope not. Sue says she's hearing some feedback. Let me turn my speakers away from my microphone, see if that helps any. Sue.
Let's see if that helps. Santa Doug from Illinois has joined us, as has David Milmine. Good to see you, David and Doug.
Now, Doug is one that should have some feedback on this particular question. Now, we've got a few others joining us. Let's read that question one more time, Phineas.
Okay. What is your best advice on how to deal with venues or other individuals using your Santa image without consent to promote an event that you are not hired or contracted to be at? So you find on social media or in regular news media or common media, someone's advertising an event and they've got your picture there. And you know for sure that you're not going to be there. What do you do?
Sue, are you still hearing an echo or any feedback? Let me know. Some of the issues that I've had is last week my microphone had gotten turned down on my master volume to 61%, and I turned it up this week to 90%. So I want to make sure that's not the issue.
David Milmine said it sounds good.
Okay. I turn my speakers. I got canned speakers on my desk, and I turn them opposite from my microphone. Sometimes that can cause, if your mic is too hot, to pick up your canned speakers. And so I'm thinking it may be what it was.
So
that's my biggest adversary in technology, I think, is trying to figure this stuff out as I go on the fly. We've had issues when we were out on the road with the TNL equipment that we use. Now I'm having issues here. So, okay, Sue says it looks good. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. So Ted Flynn has responded that as long as it's for a positive event, I would just consider it good publicity. I would probably contact the event coordinator and ask if they would actually like to have the Santa that they're using in their media to do the event. So.
Yeah. Good idea.
That is a good idea. If you have the availability to do the event, why not contact and find out if they've hired the Santa, and if so, hey, I'm the one that you're using. So
yeah, and keep in mind too, Phineas, that's a good point. It's not the Santa's fault that they've done it. 99% of the time, it's going to be the organizer of the event or whoever has posted that promotional one card, advertisement, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So, with that said, don't go and cut your brother's throat and try to steal that event just because they're using your image. Just as Ted said, just suggest, have you already hired a Santa? And if not, I am available.
Yep.
Would be a good way to handle that.
And that would be another thing, because if you know that there's another Santa working that event, that Santa did not send your picture to the event
That's right.
coordinator. So don't penalize them for what the event coordinator or the publicity person or the media did, because they probably just did a Google search or went through what they had the rights to use, and they will use whatever they've got because maybe you worked for them in the past or something like that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But the number one thing I will say is that when you sign the contract for the event, read that contract over, look over the fine print, look over, see if there's going to be a photographer, see if there's going to be any media or any sort of camera crew there, and find out they ask for you for your image and for your rights, because that is a lot of it. And you can always, before you sign the contract, get into negotiations and just sort of say, hey, look, I'm uncomfortable with you using my image for things that are not related to stuff that I'm attached to. You can do that, and you can ask for an amendment of the contract if you're really uncomfortable with that. So
Yeah. So many people are in a rush nowadays, and they'll just sign something and not really read that fine print. They'll kind of glance over it and make sure nothing jumps out at them at first. But there are places in some of these contracts that get a little tricky. They kind of sometimes try to hide things in the body of other paragraphs that can trip you up. And that don't just go for working as a Santa. It goes for everyday life. I mean, anything that you enter into a contract with that's legal and binding, you want to make sure that you understand it. If you don't understand it, again, reach out to a legal assistant or someone in an attorney's office, an attorney or someone who can help decipher the language, because sometimes they use language that sometimes doesn't really click with you. So you got to make sure you understand every single word of a contract.
yes, indeed. And for those fellas who have gotten the contracts or gotten asked to do scanning stuff for AI generated Santas or stock photos or stock video or anything like that, make sure you read those contracts very, very carefully. I ran into an instance with my partner, Larry, who did a stock photo shoot. And 10 years after he died, I was walking in the city of Toronto, and I found my husband flogging vape pens and CBD oil. And he would not have appreciated that, but because his image was licensed to this stock photo company, they were quite within their rights to sell it. So and let the vape pen CBD guys use it. And I don't think that any Santa would want to be attached to that type of situation for the most part, but you need to make sure that you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's, particularly these days with the AI stuff, because I mean, if you consent to your voice and your image being used for AI, they can put words in your mouth that you didn't say.
Yes, they sure can. And that brings up a thought of mine. I know two very prominent Santas in the community, won't name them, but 13 years ago or so, they had went to do some of those stock photos and sold those photos for a X amount, the legal rights to those photos for an X amount of dollars each. And their understanding was that contract was only legal and bound for so long, and then it would expire. Well, come found out it doesn't. And so now, years later, their images are being used, and you can do a search, Santas, and you'll see guys that you recognize because they did exactly that. They sold their image to a stock company, and they're still being used long beyond what you would have thought. Or again, if you didn't read the fine print, make sure that there is a termination to that clause or to that contract if you don't want to let that image be used indefinitely forever. And they both kind of, I think, now wish they had not signed that contract, looking back on it, because being prominent in the community, they could probably get a whole lot more for their image than what they made in the beginning. So,
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So Santa Scott Parker just clarified. He said his deal was that he had a customer freak out because they saw he was going to be at an event when he had already booked with them at the same date and time. And for that, all I can say, Scott, is just to reassure that the client that you had booked with, that you are indeed booked in with them, and that the other group is just using your photo and we're using it without your permission. That's all you can do. As I said, you can ask the other company to, hey, stop using my image in your advertising and maybe use the Santa that you had booked. But if you had worked with them before and they've got that image, there's not a lot you can do beyond ask them very nicely, unless you want to take the legal route and send a cease and desist. But that also means that they likely won't work with you in the future. So
yeah,
try to,
and another popular photo that a lot of folks like to try to reuse is Santas that are in parades that are on a nice float,
yeah.
because that makes for a great backdrop or back a picture for promotional value. And remember, folks, pictures last a long time. They could be floating around out there for a long time.
Well, I will say last year, Phineas and Santa had something similar in that one of our big corporate events hired another Santa Dave who had also worked in the same profession that David Milmine worked in, and he took a booking as David Milmine, basically as Santa Dave, because we'd worked with them before, and the booking agent believed that they had booked the same Santa that they had already worked with the past several years. And so, unfortunately, they didn't do their due diligence, and someone else advertised that he was who they had booked before. And we heard that some people were quite unhappy about that. But again, there was nothing we could do about that. They had booked that other individual. So all we could do is we could just shrug and go, well, that's on them. So
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Parker says catch 22 because both pay so well, laugh out loud, and then he comes back to say bingo with an exclamation point.
yep.
So, Parker, I hope we got a couple of answers there for you. Maybe some guys will think about it, and they
Yep.
can always send you a private message or contact you by phone if they have your number and discuss it further. But
We got machine.
okay, Sean has one here, Phineas. Go ahead and grab that one if you will, please, sir.
Okay, Sean just posted, I had a small town use my image, but was fine. But when a real estate agent used it for profit for the holiday ads, I reached out to them and they dropped it. And yes, that's definitely a good point, is that depends on the nature of the use of it. If they had used your image and they were using it to advertise their business, which implies an endorsement, that's where I would definitely send a cease and desist kind of request to them, because I'm not going to endorse anything I'm uncomfortable with or without my knowledge or permission. So,
And again, be careful what you are endorsing, because sometimes with these corporate companies, they may use one name for a blanket corporation, and then come find out you're actually involved with, as Penny said, maybe a vape company or somebody that you wouldn't want your name attached to. So I always try to ask questions and make sure that you understand, like I say, the verbal language
yep.
and wording, and if not, get clarification before you sign.
And when you are in the moment and taking these photographs, like if you're out in the public, be aware of your surroundings. Make sure that you are not posing with people in front of something that you would not want your image to be associated with. Be
Good
very
point.
careful. Pay attention to what's behind you and around you, because all you need to do is be in the wrong place at the wrong time when there's a camera there, and there you go. So.
Right. Good point, Phineas. Phineas is always on his toes thinking.
I live in a country where they legalized marijuana and cannabis quite early, and we had to make a really quick decision as to whether or not, we would want to be associated with those products image-wise. So.
Looks like we got some good answers there. So let's go ahead and move on. Hey, we got a second question this week. We kind of want to throw this out there, and I don't think there's going to be. Well, it kind of directed towards folks that have tattoos, closets with tattoos, and there's nothing wrong with tattoos. Believe me, I have seen some great body art out there. Those are fantastic. Of course, Mike went and had his done, and of course, when we're in full wardrobe, only your face is showing anyway. If you wear your gloves and got your suit stuff on, that shows. So, but what I'm wondering is, since those of us who have real beards and maybe if you're at an event and as a Mrs. Claus and someone happens to see a tattoo on your neck or something of that nature, when dressed casual in public, have you ever had a child and or an adult approach you and recognize you as a Claus and ask you about your tattoos? Good, bad, indifferent? I'm just curious. That was something that I had seen come up on a couple of chats that I was looking at recently, and they were talking about tattoos. And I thought to myself, well, that's a question I don't think we've ever asked before. I mean, nowadays, hey, let's go back 50 years ago. Of course, it was a different time in history and in this world, but you were not going to get a prominent, well-paying job if you were tatted up. It was just what the culture was at the time, and over time, since the '60s especially, uh, those things have been more widely accepted, and times have changed, and everybody has tattoos, be it small ones or big ones or full body art, sleeves, whatever. So, just a question I have. Parker, Parker says, "Oh, now you tell us we have to keep our nose clean."
Especially if you're in the suit, Parker, definitely. So, as
Yeah, I mean, I work for a photo company. They won't let us wear any jewelry, earrings, even rings with SC or Santa on them or anything. I mean, we have to be neutral when it comes to that. Now, they have backed off a little bit with the set crew. Uh, and another deal that falls in line here. Almost everybody that I've worked with in the last 7 or 8 years has got tattoos, the ladies and the guys, and they show all day long. They ask them to try to cover them up, but sometimes if you have so many, and again, you got that big one on your neck, then there's no way of covering those up. My very first year, little girl I worked with had one on her neck, and she put makeup on it and would try to cover it, but you could still see it. And then, of course, this last year, I actually worked with some that had nose rings and everything else. They don't like the ring here, but the studs and stuff they were okay with. So, got to be careful there. Also, anybody else have anything to say with that? Uh, Go ahead, Phineas. Catch Santa Doug there.
Okay, so Santa Doug said he's never had that happen. However, if he's doing a spring or summer event, he makes sure that they are covered up. His tattoos are not particularly that visible. I know Santa Michael Howe wears compression sleeves over his arms because he does have full sleeve tattoos when he does summer Santa events. And Parker just said, I'm going next week for my second tattoo session. The guy said that if he quits screaming, he'll even put a needle in the gun this time. So
that would probably be me too. If I was going to get a large tat, I think I would be quite nervous about it. Something small, you can probably endure the pain. And I guess, where they say that like anything that you start to go through pain, your body releases endorphins. And so the pain kind of, gets less as you go. But yeah, I don't know these guys that get full body art. That's got to be, well, they actually say it's addictive. And it's probably because of the endorphins that, it becomes addictive. So.
as someone who is extensively tattooed, I mean, when I am Phineas during the winter months, I'm in the north, so I'm fully covered up.
Yeah.
But summer Santa events, People have seen my naughty and nice tattoos, and I've got a number of other holiday themed tattoos. If someone is really gung ho about not having a tattooed person, I will wear long sleeves and be appropriate for that. I worked for the Disney company, and for the longest time, there was a very strict dress code for employees at Disney, and no visible tattoos, no piercings for men, haircut to the collar and above the ear for men. So it was very, very strict. They've eased off on a lot of that stuff, particularly the piercings for men, the earrings at least. But that being said, there are times when I am going to be doing a photo shoot and I will be asked to cover up my tattoos, and I will do proper cover up makeup on my arms, and it happens. So there you go. But if people recognize me out of Phineas, bravo. At the same time, if they see that I have tattoos and they're mostly appropriate, they are appropriate. I don't have anything on my body that I wouldn't show my mother or my grandmother. So,
like I say, the times have changed and they are well accepted across all folks now. I mean, everybody, even bankers and folks nowadays have them where, as I said, 40, 50, 60 years ago, it was kind of a no-no.
yep.
All right, fantastic. Depends on the event. I don't cover my tattoos. AJ says, yeah, AJ's got several now. He's been, guess it was when he turned 18. His mom let him have one the first time. So very good. All right. Well, heck, let's put that to rest and let's go ahead and move along. You ready to, let's go ahead and jump into our trivia next.
Hey everyone, Angela Mack here for Bob and Phineas Live, the show about nothing. Season 4 of Bob and Phineas is brought to you by santascloset.org, where you can find all your accessories for the discriminating Santa, Mrs. Claus, and the elves. Visit Santa Wade's website at santascloset.org today, where they are known for delivering unique, value-packed Santa and Mrs. Claus accessories since opening in 2004. The goal has always been to provide both a superior customer experience at a tremendous value. Their products are fairly priced, and Santa Wade strives to bring many different products to the Claus community. Visit the website and make your next season a truly special one. This is Angela Mack reminding you all to catch our show every Monday at 3 p.m. Central, presented by TNL Network Productions. Thanks for watching. Now let's get back to Bob and Phineas in the TNL studios and today's Monday Santa's Closet Trivia.
All right. Remember, your name goes on half for the scholarship for the TNL North Pole Cornerstones 2026 scholarship.
I can't spell, can
Uh,
I? I need to start proofreading my stuff before I save it here. There we
check
go.
it down and fix it. All right. So we need to go ahead and move along here, Penny. So go ahead and grab this one and tell them what they're getting into.
Okay, so for this one, we need the movie title, we need the who said it, we need the actor's name and character's name, and I will say that this one's pretty easy. And the movie quote is, "If I woke up this morning with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now." So once again, if I woke up this morning with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now. And so we need the movie title, we need the actor who said it, and what the name of the character was.
Also, remember, this is brought to you by santascloset.org, Santa Wade, and the winner will also get a care package from santascloset.org.
And
so good luck on that.
And if I recall clearly, we'll need t-shirt sizes too, correct, Bob?
Yes, sir. I'm glad you mentioned that. See, I'm dropping a ball already. Yes, we do need your t-shirt size. Excuse me. Doesn't mean he's going to send a t-shirt out every week, but he just asked me to get the t-shirt size, and on occasion he will be sending a t-shirt. So All right, let's go ahead and jump into our video promo for our other contributor for today's show, if we can. Talbot Insurance Services over in Georgia. He is an agent that is friendly. He is a Santa himself, so he understands Santa business. He does home, auto, business, Santa business. So if you're in a need for insurance, reach out to Larry Talbot. And he will be in Gatlinburg at the end of the month here in just a couple of weeks. So if you're going to Gatlinburg, go by and see Larry and tell him that TNL sent you. Okay, we're going to run through this here real quick. I kind of have talked about this the last couple of weeks. We want to hit it one more time. Round 2 of the North Pole Cornerstones Photo Gallery is up on the website at npcornerstones.com. We also have a new Facebook private group just for the NPC alumni. I'm not sure if Deanna has got that finished yet or has started sending out the invites to that group, but once you see it, please accept. Go over and post your photos, leave comments, converse with other attendees, share your experience, and tell your friends. Let's see here. That is www.facebook.com/group/North Pole Alumni. So if and when you see that. So this week, actually, Scott Seriton and myself will be traveling to San Antonio to meet with a prospective hotel that is located downtown on the Riverwalk. After initial conference call this last week with their representatives, we will sit down to discuss NPC 2026 and do a full site tour of the property and overlook the food and beverage menu and see what we can do. The Marriott has gone up on us again. They sent us we talked to them Monday morning before we left down there in San Antonio to come home from the sessions that we had back in February. And they sent us a proposal and there's some changes in it and we're not real happy about it. So we thought we would go see if we could get something comparable or even a better deal downtown. Now, 4 years ago, when we started looking down there, we couldn't find anything that was better than the Marriott, and that's why we chose the Marriott. But new management moved in last year at the Marriott. They've made some changes. They're fixing to go through an extensive renovation of the property. Therefore, they're going to go up even more, and it's going to be under construction. So those are a few of the reasons why we're looking around. And I'm really excited about this hotel, and I hope it works out because we've heard time and time again from those who have come the last 2 years that they want more time on the Riverwalk. Well, if we're down there, you can park your car and everything you need to see and do is right there. They have the Riverwalk Mall. They have all the shops, the stores, pharmacies, restaurants. You wouldn't believe how many restaurants are down there. So anyway, we will have more to follow up on that after we go down this week and talk to those folks. Over to you, Phineas.
Okay, so Santa Ana Holiday University, run by Deanna and Judith, will be in Schaumburg, Illinois on May 1st through 3rd, 2025, and they will be in Medina, Ohio, May 14th through 16th. So if you are looking for education that is geared towards Mrs. Claus's, elves, as well as Santas as well, by all means, check out Santa Ana Holiday University in either Schaumburg, Illinois, which is close to Chicago. It's a suburb of Chicago, or Medina, Ohio, which is close to Cleveland.
Yes, fantastic. All right, go ahead and continue on, Phineas.
Okay, in Branson, Missouri, July 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th, Spangle the Clown will be running School of Santas in Branson, Missouri. Their keynote instructor this year is Lee Andrews, and Spangle has arranged all sorts of wonderful entertainment ideas and options for you even before the school itself starts. So check out School of Santas and see if that is something that you would love to do. So join them in Branson this year.
Lee is so excited about being able to do this event. Busy man. Spangle has tried for several years to get him, but with his full-time clowning that he does and travel, he hadn't had time, but he made time this year, and he's really excited to be able to do this with Spangle. Hey, Lee is just a funny guy. Any way you look at it, he's so much fun. All right, go ahead and let's catch tomorrow night's TNL upcoming guest and show for me, Phineas.
So tomorrow night, and this will be in studio with Bob. And I also hear say that Scott may be there live as well with Bob and Angela in the studio. That from Windsor, Canada, Dr. Bruce Kotowich, also known as Santa Garian, will be in the studio to talk to you on Tuesday Night Live tomorrow night. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and we're going to talk something that has been discussed quite a bit here lately, and Phineas is doing a whole segment, series of segments on it, and it's character development. But I think in the direction that Phineas is going, and the direction that Bruce is going to talk about tomorrow night, is in two different realms of character development, which is going to be pretty interesting. And of course, the Crinkle Brothers on Wednesday night, they're doing character development this week, so it's something that has been talked about quite a bit here lately. Now is the time to think about expanding your talents. And as Phineas is going to show you guys, there's other ways of adding props and things into your character to broaden your characters out and have more than one character in your entertainment package, you might say.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Looking forward to hearing what Dr. Bruce has to say, and definitely the Kringle brothers as well. So it's good to
definitely
perspectives on things. So yeah.
We're also going to be talking, of course. This week we had St. Nicholas Day, and we'll be talking about that tomorrow night. We'll also be talking about Bruce's experience at Cornerstones. Him and Phineas knocked it out of the ballpark with their singing and performances that they did, along with Betsy and Sean. It was fantastic teaching. I have had so many folks that attended Cornerstone say, boy, that segment and Jim Langley's segment was just over the top. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you. And I think Bruce is going to be sharing some news about the future activities of Bruce, Sean, Betsy, and Phineas. So
yes.
So
yeah, you guys hit on something there for sure.
Yep. And there's been some interesting developments, but I'll let Bruce talk about that. So.
Very good. Very good. Okay, let's get into this character development segment with Phineas. So we'll be on the other side of this right back.
So last week I talked about developing, starting your backstory, just to explain your character, who they are and what their motivations is, and the importance of making your backstory very simple. Such as Phineas's backstory was he was born as an elf, but he was much bigger. And so Mr. and Mrs. Claus, seeing that this big lummox of a elf would hurt his actual elf parents, that Mr. and Mrs. Claus kind of took over the care and feeding and raising of Phineas. So Phineas views Santa and Mrs. Claus as his adoptive parents. And that is how Phineas's character was developed. also, Phineas, being much bigger than other elves, has a bit of a chip on his shoulder because of his size and the fact that he doesn't really fit in with elves, and he really doesn't fit in with humans. So he's kind of this misfit. So that's Phineas's backstory, and so that is something simple. And once again, I highlighted the importance of making it understandable for a child, particularly someone around 4 through 6, just so they know who you are and what is what your motivations are. Like the actor, what's my motivation? So I figured as part of this series that I would work on developing a character. Phineas does not need to work on developing his character, but I will begin explaining how I'm going through the thought processes of developing a character, so you can see what can be done with a character. And so when I was talking about that, I thought, what better way to do this is to reintroduce a friend who I introduced to you last year with Bob and Randall. This is a new character that Santa David and I are adding to our North Pole character group and menagerie. And I think I introduced him last year. This is a puppet, a Yeti or abominable snowman puppet. And he's been an interesting character to have around because trying to understand what he's doing at the North Pole, because Yetis are actually from the Himalayas, Nepal and India. And so why would he be at the North Pole? So so that is what I'm going to be starting with this Yeti, is why is he at the North Pole? And then what is he doing at the North Pole, and why is he still hanging out? Why hasn't he gone back to what? Why is he not going back to the Himalayas and Nepal? So this is where I'm going to be starting, is that we've got this big lummox of a character. He's about 4 feet tall. He's got a very nice character face. He's got the little pointy fang right there. So he's kind of, you can see that at some point he was a fierce creature, but now he's kind of nice and fun. Okay, so this is where I'm going to just sort of say, okay, so why is he at the North Pole? And well, there was a big windstorm. We all know about windstorms because there was quite a few storms that blew up in the American Midwest and definitely affected the folks at the Texas Santa Roundup. So there was a big storm, and he got blown up to the North Pole. And he was not really thrilled about that. He was lost and kind of out of sorts and grumpy. So this is where we're going to start, is that Yeti here. He could be fierce. Everybody thinks of the Bumble from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, trademark. So when I asked for the Yeti character to be created by my puppet master, I said, I would like an abominable snowman or Yeti that won't get me in trouble with the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer people. And so that's how he created this character. So you can see that he has some resemblances to the Bumble, but he is definitely a character of his own. He looks like another famous puppet studio's puppets. Because he is somewhat related to them. But at the same time, I've got this character now, and he ended up at the North Pole. So why is he hanging out with Phineas and Santa and Mrs. Claus at the North Pole? And this is where I'm going to begin. And as I said, we started with him being caught in a storm and ending up lost at the North Pole. And so Phineas, doing his search of the grounds, making sure that the reindeer are out in the pasture doing okay, making sure that there's no storm fallen trees endangering any of the structures at the North Pole. That is how he found the Yeti. And yes, this is a Yeti and not an abominable snowman. So don't want to run into any copyright issues, because we are going to be using him extensively in media. So this is where I'm going to start with this character, is that he was blown up to the North Pole. Phineas found him at while doing his rounds at the North Pole, checking in the reindeer as they were out in the pasture with the reindeer games, and also making sure that because there was a big storm that blew the Yeti up to the North Pole, make sure that there's no trees that are endangering anything, any of the structures of the North Pole, and if so, can they be harvested and used for firewood for the next year? And so that's where we go. So we've got a friendly, kind of derpy looking Yeti who's got a fang that shows, he was at one point coming from a fearsome creature background, but he's now lost at the North Pole and really doesn't know what he's doing up there. So that's the start of Yeti's character. And we shall explore what's going on later as we continue this journey. So I will be taking notes of this story, and we will be building on it as we continue further. And if anybody has any ideas, by all means, send them to me through either Facebook message or email me at mike.hutchings@gmail.com, and we'll begin building this character together. And if you have any questions about character development, by all means, that you'd like me to address, by all means, message me in Facebook. So Paul Anderson just asked what his full name is. Right now, and this is going to be for the Canadian music nerds, I'm jokingly calling him Lee, as in Yeti Lee. So, but that may change as we develop his character. I often, when I'm working with a new puppet, I often let the characters develop and tell me who they are and what their names are as they develop. He doesn't have a voice yet. We're going to find out what his voice is as we better understand his character. Very much as the way it took Phineas for a while to figure out his voice. Anyways, thank you and have a good day.
Oh my goodness. I can, this is just a thought now. My brain went crazy when you started talking about him getting blown in a severe storm. He knows extreme weather.
Yep.
So maybe somewhere in the future, he takes on becoming the North Pole's extreme weather forecaster and can talk about weather a little bit in his act.
Yep.
Just a thought.
Yep. So this is the process what I go through. This is how I built Phineas. So I'm going to be building Yeti's character. And I'm going to be doing it live over the next few weeks. So, and maybe we'll find a voice.
Very cool. I like that. That is a cool character puppet, and you're going to have fun with that one for sure.
Definitely.
Okay, folks. Let's see here. I'm going to catch a couple of comments here real quick. Phineas, Sal in Delicato says Norfolk Cornerstones was an amazing school. Thank you, Sal. And we were blessed to have you and your beautiful bride along this year. And we hope that you took some things away from it. I know our guest presenters were over the top. Our core presenters that we have all enjoyed our guest presenters this year. And most of those guest presenters have voiced to Deanna and I a want to come back next year sentiment. So as we get further along and start getting into announcing the dates for 2026, and then we'll get into who all is going to be a part of that. Hi, Eric and Mo. Now, Russell Ellison, who was our guest last Tuesday night, what a fantastic show that was. Boy, he's just such a delightful person to hang out with and have fun and talk to. He says, while at NPC, I really enjoyed my coachings and also Sean White's teaching on our backstory. I failed to mention you both the other night. Great job.
We also have another NPC alumni in. We've got Everett Prostrello here, and Everett and his wife was present at North Pole Cornerstones, as Veen as well. So welcome.
Well, we hope you guys that came this year will consider coming back in the future. If not this year, maybe in a year or two. But the one thing about North Pole that we know is that we're going to keep the core that we built the school around as far as the curriculum goes, and then with the guest presenters, some of our guest presenters have already said, well, don't mind doing the same material, or we can do something different. Just let us know what you're looking for. And so some of that we do want to do the same material, but we also want to expand each year and add some new things. So we'll keep it fresh and it doesn't get stale. Sean says she loves your new character, Phineas.
Thank you, Sean. I've got Parker saying that he now has the song Tom Sawyer playing in his head, but he made a mistake in calling me Buddy, and Phineas does not like Buddy because Buddy's not an elf. He's a human being pretending to be an elf. So
Sal follows up, says everything in MP Cornerstones was a class act and instruction was tops. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And it says we'll be back North Pole Cornerstones in the future. Appreciate that. We'll look forward to having everybody return that's wanting to come and have fun with us. And again, just want to keep it fresh and different, but not lose what has been successful.
Yep. Billy Green joined us as well, so good to see you, Billy.
Billy was also at Cornerstones. Santa Jamie's on from Alabama. Jamie, just got to say, you guys' show, you and J Mac was fantastic. Looking forward to Thursday night and get to see you guys again with Polar Opposites. That's what Santa Jamie and Santa J Mac were hot takes and cool perspectives collide. So if you're available at 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern on Thursday night following Santa Mel's fellowship, be sure and stick around and catch Jamie and Santa J Mac. Fantastic show. It's they take topics, hot topics, and they each have a perspective and hash it out right there live on the air.
Yep.
Okay, let's see here. Hey, I think we got a trivia winner, Phineas. You wanna tell folks what the answers was?
Okay, so once again, we wanted the movie, the actor, and the character who said, "If I woke up this morning with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now." And this one was kind of a gimme, but I thought because it's quite a popular movie. So, but I think we do have a winner, don't we, Angela?
Yes, it was Jeff Ouellette.
Jeff Ouellette.
Congratulations, Jeff.
And the answer?
The answer is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. The actor was Chevy Chase, and the character was Clark Griswold.
And that was in reference to Cousin Eddie. And you would think as far out there as that movie kind of is, especially when it first came out, that through the years it has stood well. I still have to watch it multiple times. It's on throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on just at Christmas time. You can catch it on a couple of other channels throughout the year, but I have to watch it at Christmas time at least 2 or 3 times. It's like when I was a child and I watched the Three Stooges every day, and I knew every word they were going to say and every slapstick that they would do and everything that was going to happen, and still laugh. I still laugh at that movie. It's just hilarious. Well written.
Well, I was going to say anybody who's going to Santa Ana Holiday University in Medina, Ohio, Castle Noel is there, and they actually have Eddie's RV at Castle Noel now. So
that's cool.
You can go visit a piece of National Lampoon memorabilia if you're attending Santa Ana Holiday U. So there you go.
Very cool. Very cool. And it brings me to the thought here real quick. We've got a couple of minutes before we close out the show, but I watched a YouTube program here. It's been back before the Christmas season, but someone had gone to the house where Cousin Eddie lived when they were headed to Wally World, and Chevy and Ellen and all of them stopped there to pick Eddie up and got Aunt Edna.
Yep.
And that's where she joined them on that trip. And that house, and some folks bought that house, and it still looks exactly the same. I mean, just like the movie, but they put up fences and big signs and stuff. If you even stop at the road in front of them, they come outside and tell you to go, move, get along. It's a private driveway. Yep. So used to folks could go by there and see that house, but now it's off limits. The folks that live there don't like it.
I can understand
all the
that.
attention. And I asked myself, why buy a house that was in a movie that's going to draw so much attention if you don't want the attention?
Yep, yep. I know the people who bought the house from A Christmas Story had the same thing. So I think it's now basically a museum at this point. So
Should be. It should
yeah,
be. It should be protected.
yep.
Okay, so I kind of went through about the Polar Opposites show with Jamie and J Mac just a few moments ago. We'll kind of jump on in here. Of course, tomorrow night, as Phineas said, Dr. Bruce Gotovich is on. Wednesday night, we have Kringle Time with the Kringle Brothers, and character development is one of the topics for this week. You have Santa Mel with Santa's Magical Fellowship Group that comes on, and her show starts an hour sooner than all the other shows on the platforms because of the fact that the follow-up shows come on at the normal time behind the fellowship. So everyone starts at 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, except for Santa Mel's Fellowship. It's 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern. So 1 hour earlier for that one. This week, March 20th, will be Polar Opposites with Jamie Mack, as I said, and Santa J. Mack. And I'm not sure what their topic is. If you're still with me, Jamie, and you want to throw that in, it would be nice. And then the following week, we'll go back and pick up Christmas Crossings with Santa Chris Terry. He debuted this last week. Great show. And then April 10th is when Shawn White will debut her show, The Claus Connect, and Fire in the North Pole with Shawn White. And she's been having fun. She's been out in a production working and enjoying it.
Yep, she's been in Mamma Mia in her town of Jackson, Michigan, and she's been quite enjoying it, enjoying the singing and dancing that she's been doing. And it looks like it's been a great production for her. So congratulations, Shawn.
Okay, is there anything that we missed on here?
Yeah,
Just kind of scanning down through the comments here, make sure we didn't miss anything. Folks take the time to show up for the show and they put their 2 cents worth in. We want to try to make sure that we acknowledge what they're communicating.
Anderson just commented.
It hadn't popped up on my screen yet. Can you see Paul? There it is. Santa Ana Holiday University in Medina runs into Santa Day at Casa Noel, a full day of activities for the Claus community. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for sharing. So,
all right. I don't see that Jamie has put anything up yet, so maybe he's already dropped off. But I want to thank everyone for showing up today, coming by, spending your Monday at least a little over an hour here with Phineas and myself. Fantastic show. This is our 3rd segment, or episode 3, and we've kind of hit our stride, having fun with it. Phineas is a fantastic addition, and I want to say thank you, Phineas, for being co-host here with me. I thoroughly enjoy working with you, brother.
Thank you for asking me, and thank you to Angela for being a patient and a wonderful producer. It's great to have such great support. So,
again, tomorrow night, Scott Seriton will be here in house, in studio, as well as Dr. Bruce, and it's going to be a fantastic show. And then Wednesday, Scott and I will be traveling to San Antonio to check out that other hotel, and we'll be reporting back with reports for that. Chris says, "Hi guys, excited I got to listen to the part of the show live." Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Great to see you.
And so just making sure we don't lose anything here. Okay, looks like everyone's saying bye. So that's what we're going to do at this point. Tune in, kick up your heels, join in the fun for 2025, all powered by TNL Network Productions. Phineas, good day to you, sir.
Good day to you as well, and wishing everybody a good week.
We'll talk during the week, and we get back from San Antonio. I'll probably pick your ear a little bit, and we'll talk about what we found out down there. Thanks, everyone. Yes, exactly. Everyone have a great Monday and a better Tuesday, and for that fact, great rest of the week, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Penny.